Yes, it is that time again. Yes, Captain has arrived. Hello, and welcome to the Captain's Cast, live every Sunday on Swords and Starships. Is it possible that Disney is a trilly killer? A trilly! That's $1 trillion lost. Or maybe close to it. One financial analyst speculates they have lost $900 billion. We'll talk about that. So yes, welcome into the Captain's Cast. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the channel Swords and Starships, our continuing mission to explore entertainment, nerd, geek, comic, video game, anime, and all other such time-wasting activities culture, or so we would be told by our conservative judges in the media. I love spending my time on all things nerd culture. I enjoy swords, starships, superheroes, all of that sort of thing. So if you do as well, join me. Pull up a chair. We have lots to discuss. I have seen Secret Invasion, and I have thoughts about it. I will just say, is it possible that Disney is becoming a study in mediocrity? It's like they've sunk so low that now they're actually starting to improve by just achieving a sort of par level of mediocrity. So we will talk about Secret Invasion. I have a great article. Apparently, some people are liking it. Hey, I watched it with an open mind. I gave it a fair shake. Your captain is nothing if not fair and honorable. So we'll talk about that. And I have got to tell you, is a movie like Mission Impossible likely to just absolutely crush it at the box office and just take down a billion? Do you think MI7's going to be a Billy killer? I don't know. I got a feeling it is going to do amazing. I really do. So we're going to talk about that. And I have an article to back me up on this. I just think Tom Cruise is taking Hollywood to school on how to entertain people. Of all the experts in how to entertain people don't know how to entertain people anymore. So that is definitely interesting. Yeah, so the captain will have a damage report for you on Disney. They are not doing well. And I have some additional reflections on the Flash film, so I'll get into that. And I probably will touch on the Oceangate Titan disaster because, one of my favorite filmmakers, James Cameron, also happens to be an expert on this topic. And boy, did he had some really damning things to say about this. So if you haven't heard about this tour company, Oceangate Tours, well, who hasn't heard about it? Were taking people in submarines down to see the Titanic. The Stockton Rush, the CEO of this company, he's running this, what's looking like a fly-by-night company, took 5 people down in a submarine to see the wreckage of the Titanic, and the ship was destroyed. The ship was lost at sea. And, these are the wages of hubris, and these are the wages of being incompetent and simply not understanding that the ocean does not care what your ideology is, and it does not care how inspiring you are. The ocean is the ocean, and it is undefeated. That being said, it's a terrible thing. It's an absolute tragedy. Didn't have to happen, shouldn't have happened. And we're going to get into all that. Let's start with something your captain just loves to see. Try this headline. Nope, not that headline. Try this headline. Mission Impossible 7 first reactions. Tom Cruise conquers critics with impeccably made, exhilarating action film. This from Variety. Is anyone surprised by this? I mean, after Top Gun Maverick, after Mission Impossible Fallout, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was finally unveiled at a starry world premiere in Rome on Monday evening, drawing a packed gala screening in the Auditorium della Conciliazione. I actually learned how to pronounce this before the stream. Okay, let me try that again. Conciliazione. Conciliazione. The Auditorium della Conciliazione. All right, enough of that. A stone's throw from the Vatican. The gala screening was delayed by more than 90 minutes as Tom Cruise is holding an apparently impromptu meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at Palazzo Chigi, seat of the Italian government. Now that's kind of interesting. Before I was doing my show prep, that didn't even sink in. But isn't Giorgia Meloni like enemy number one in the world right now? All the woke crowd, they think she's the second coming of Mussolini, and Tom Cruise meets with her. I feel like if she's kind of the Trump of Italy right now, that's just interesting. I wonder if Tom Cruise is going to get some blowback for this. They're going to be like, "Oh, you met with her, that fascist? Ooh, gross." As Salty Cracker would say. Cough button. It goes on. The crowd in the auditorium grew increasingly annoyed with having to watch interviews from the red carpet held earlier on the Spanish Steps in what started seeming like an endless loop on the venue's screen, equipped with a Dolby Atmos sound system for the special occasion. This is the part I like. I'm trying to find it. There was a pull quote here. Yeah. I think that's basically it. The crowd in the auditorium were getting annoyed with all these red carpet interviews. Yeah, can you imagine what that would be like? You're there to see Mission Impossible, and you've just got to watch, an hour and a half of just all these actors and producers, interviews, and just talking. It's got to be irritating. But then, when Tom Cruise appeared, along with director Christopher McQuarrie and a large contingent of the film's ensemble, including Haley Atwell, who cares? I'm not the biggest Haley Atwell fan these days. Let me just, she's fine. I'm just kind of over Captain Carter. Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, Vanessa Kirby. Rebecca Ferguson is super fine. Palm, does anyone say that anymore? Super fine. She's super fine. I like her. Palm, Clementieff, and the rest of them. And as soon as Rome appeared on screen, the audience started breaking into cheers and shouting out, "Bravo, Tom," which happened quite frequently through the screening, which I find, this tells me there is energy. This tells me there is momentum. These films have earned their success. Just like the John Wick films, just like Top Gun Maverick, these films have earned their success through craftsmanship, through entertainment value, through no, woke bullshit. Just flat out, we are here to show you a movie that you're going to love. Yeah, I quite liked Mission Impossible 2 back in the day. It's a dopey John Woo film. It's like Face Off to me. I just love it. I just love it for that reason. But, I kind of lost track of this series for many years. They would come out, and I'd forget about them. But just over the years, these films have built up this footprint, and now I am just absolutely addicted to this series. I rewatch these films all the time. I just love this series. It's amazing what Cruise and the rest of this cast have built. And the interesting thing about Mission Impossible is that it's the lore building. These films have lore that they build upon, and they've sort of recaptured the magic we've lost with James Bond, which is an absolute tragedy. And we have Silverback the Despoiler in the chat. Ahoy! He says, not requesting permission to come aboard, just hopping on the ship at his pleasure. Oh, well. Well, sir, you have thrown down the gauntlet, sir. The impudence, sir. But the captain will allow it. Fu Man Blue says, woot, sorry I'm late. Hail, Captain, hail, chat. Never apologize, Fu Man Blue. Silverback the Despoiler says, hail. Hail to the chat. So, Dead Reckoning, I'm not going to give you the synopsis. We don't need that. But can I just give you a couple of grabs from the critics that were at the showing and what they had to say. So here's one. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is another winner for the franchise. Yet again, the production value is, in all caps, through the roof, with some of the most well-defined and exhilarating set pieces photographed in ways that truly make you feel like you're in the middle of and it's cut off. Let me see if I can get the rest of this tweet here. Don't make me sign in. I should already be signed in. And there it is. Making you feel like you're in the middle of the action. The emphasis on capturing things in camera makes a huge difference, and you can feel it. Also really dug the mission this time around and how the technology thereafter factors into the characters' individual arcs. Now, one thing on this channel I have complained about is big, dumb, bloated, pointless action scenes. When I read this headline, just the headline, my dear sailors and starnauts, just the headline. I read this, and I wasn't even looking for news on Mission Impossible. I was doing other show prep, and I just stumbled across this. I saw this headline, and I got butterflies in my stomach. I got excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Because any movie that you really want to see, that's the feeling you get whenever you see any news about it. Any film you're truly excited about. Like sadly, back before Star Wars had been utterly hollowed out by Kathleen Kennedy and Disney Plus, there was that feeling when you saw the Millennium Falcon flying again in the trailer for Force Awakens. Oh, but we didn't know then what we know now. If time travel were possible, that would be our mission, to go back in time and stop J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy from destroying Star Wars. But then we'd have to have Spock prevent us from doing that, because that's what sets off World War III, is that we allow, because Star Wars is successful. Anyway, it's a time paradox. I see this title and I get excited. Why? Because these are action scenes with purpose. They are action scenes that are constructed to show you something new. There is always something on the line. There is a ticking clock in every action scene. I just rewatched Mission Impossibles 3 through 6. And I've said this before, but this is one of the things that struck me about these films. There is always a ticking clock in every action scene, but what's really interesting is the action scenes are, if they don't proceed from the fact that the mission went wrong, some of the most interesting parts of them are often because something doesn't go according to plan, or something goes off script and they have to improvise, and it adds to the tension, it adds to the problem. And so part of the fun of these action sequences is seeing how they're going to, they're basically going to figure out a strategy to win in the middle, their seat of their pants, basically. Which is not my most eloquent effort. Now, what are some of the other quotes? Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 works as Christopher McQuarrie's ambitious examination of meditation on AI and the dangerous path we might be on. He doesn't like it. With the inherent nature of being Part 1, said that a lot lately, not as satisfying as Fallout. So yes, it's not a complete story, so it won't be quite as satisfying. I'm okay with that. They're setting that expectation with Part 1. Yeah, I think Dead Reckoning, this is my theory, I think Dead Reckoning is the name of the AI that is the enemy in this movie. That's what I'm thinking. Which I think is going to be super awesome. If you look closely, I kind of think Mission Impossible is a little bit of a story about Ethan Hunt versus the Deep State. Prove me wrong. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. This is phenomenal. Haley Atwell steals every scene she's in. This is now my favorite Mission Impossible film. That makes me a little nervous. I just think, is it because, oh, girl boss? But anyway, I trust that she is awesome for the right reasons in this film. With the AI being the villain, this feels like a cautionary tale. The action had my heart rate elevated. That train scene is mind-blowing. Oh, I can't wait. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is fantastic. Dynamite, timely story, excellent new characters, huge variety of action, and a final set piece that ranks top 2 to 3 all time for the franchise. It gets a little dense at times, but its pace and intensity more than cover that. After the insanity of the last few films, Mission Impossible 7 has a tremendous amount to live up to, but one thing I'll say now in quick reaction format, it does the best job yet of recent Part 1 of 2 features in feeling like its own film, while setting up for the next half. I had the absolute best time watching Mission Impossible, an impeccably made action film that does not stop entertaining. Each action sequence is long, crazy, and intense. Yes, that is exactly what I love. Now, long, crazy, and intense for the right reasons. The story is big and sprawling, but I like how it both felt complete and left you dying for what comes next. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is incredible. The fastest 2-hour, 30-minute movie I've seen in a long time. One of the best films I've seen this year, and Tom Cruise has done it again. Demands to be seen on the big screen. Cannot recommend this movie enough. 2.5 hours. Now, if a film has earned its more than 2.5 hour runtime, the captain will allow it. And so, this is positive. This is a good sign. And this might be actually one of my favorites. There's a car chase scene in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning that brought me so much joy, it reinvigorated my love for the summer blockbuster. The craftsmanship of this franchise is unmatched. The final train sequence is a whopper, too. I caught myself leaning in from my seat. I feel like just based on that tweet, I'm probably fairly simpatico with Mr. Nigel Smith here. I have no idea who he is or what he does, but in this one instance, that is the kind of thing your captain responds to. Craftsmanship. Now, shall we talk about the antithesis of everything that I just described? And that would be Marvel's Secret Invasion. So I watched the show. Have you seen Secret Invasion? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Secret Invasion is the new Marvel Cinematic Universe show on Disney Plus. And it is about Nick Fury, who is, surprise, surprise, a sad, old, over-the-hill, bitter man who has to stop the shape-shifting Skrulls from taking over the planet. I can tell that what they long for with this show is they want to recapture the kind of super spy, Jason Bourne kind of thriller tone that you had with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which is in my top 5 of all Marvel movies. It's like, I want to say that one's like number 2. Probably my favorite Marvel film. Probably Civil War. I just really love that movie. I think that was one of my, I don't know. It's hard. The first Avengers film is really probably, objectively, the first Avengers film is the best. That was peak Marvel Cinematic Universe. There just was nothing better. That was absolutely amazing. But Winter Soldier, excellent film. This show is not even close. It is. Nick Merckx. That they recently tried. Nick Merckx was recently. They tried to take him out. The Wokies came after him because, in reference to the LGBT cult trying to indoctrinate children in schools, he just had a simple tweet, which was, leave the little kids alone. And the Call of Duty folks tried to cancel him, and it did not go well for them. And he was just saying the worst thing is in cancel culture, is to aim and to miss, to get a big, what was his phrasing on that? It was like a whiff. Anyway, poor Marvel. They just, it was a swing and a miss. I want to show you the opening to this show because there is something interesting about this opening that I would like to call your attention to. Fu Man Blue says, what if Cruise had taken over rather than Jar Jar? Can you imagine? That is an interesting point. Well, if you're talking about Star Wars, I mean, I feel like Cruise would have to do something that interested him. Cruise is part of what he does. There's just no getting around that. Like, part of the entertainment he's bringing as a producer and as a creative involves him as a star. So I don't think he could do like a Star Wars. He couldn't like helm the ship for Star Wars, for example, unless it were a Tom Cruise project. And do you want to see Tom Cruise in Star Wars? Oh, Fu Man Blue with a $2. You are too generous, sir. You're too generous. Fashioning even a top 10 phase 1 to 3 is hard. Fu Man Blue with the $2. Let me read that again because I mangled it. Fashioning even a top 10 from phase 1 to 3 is hard. It really is. Phase 1 to 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And you know what? It was brilliant for the same reasons that John Wick was brilliant. It's brilliant for the same reasons that Mission Impossible is brilliant. Because Marvel Phase 1 through 3 was about earning success, film by film by film. And not every one of them was a success, but they learned from their mistakes. They leaned into things. Let me fix my angle here. Just a little. There we go. But I'm going to show you the opening, unfortunately without sound, because I don't want to get the strike. But here is the opening for Secret Invasion. Okay, and just tell me if you find this interesting. Fu Man Blue says, for more than most, maybe, as I love every Iron Man film. Yes, well, you like Iron Man 3? It wasn't terrible. I kind of feel like Iron Man 1 was great. Iron Man 2 was pretty good. Didn't really like Iron Man 3, to be honest, and that had a lot to do with Ben Kingsley. Now, so this is their opening, right? And you're probably thinking, well, this art is kind of all over the place, but it's stylistic. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look. Well, try this headline. Shame on Kevin Feige uses artificial intelligence for Secret Invasion. It turns out this was done by AI art, folks. This is AI art, is what this is. They can't even pay people to do their openings anymore. Now, what's funny about this is, I didn't even think about it. Look, these intros all bored the hell out of me. Anyway, I skip them. But since I was doing a review, I was like, I owe it to my audience. But now that you know it's AI art, take a second look. Look at this. Look at this. You can tell it's AI art. They're hiding the fact that it's AI art by making it all like, look at that. This isn't even good AI art. This is like your first amateur pass at doing an AI piece of Nick Fury. Hey AI, do Nick Fury as an alien. The lips are all weird. It's all mangled looking. Dude, this is this is work from home filmmaking. It's what this is. This is work from home TV making. This is like, oh, I had to throw this together with AI and email it to my boss before Monday. Okay, enough of that. So and of course now all the rees, this just pisses off all the Marvel stans because, how dare they? They're not paying artists what they deserve. Of course they're not. These people don't care. They're soulless corporate. They are soulless corporate bean counters. All they care about is moving more sludge through the pipe. through the algorithm wood chipper, as I like to say. Fu Man Blue says, LMAO, work from home TV making. Yeah, that's what it is. Tell me I'm wrong about this. Disney and Marvel so broke they need to use AI. The director of the series, Salim Ali, who recently admitted Marvel told him not to read the comics. Now, can you believe that shit? They told him not to read the comics because they have nothing to do with the show. Wow. Gee, why are all these shows failing? Gee, Mr. Iger, why are you losing money on everything you do? You pay all this money for all this source material. What do you do with Disney Star Wars? You throw out the extended universe. You have all these books, these novels, these comic books. You have this giant lore that has been built for you. And what do? You throw it all out and try to make your own thing. You steal something here or there so you don't have to pay the original writers for any of it. And then you're like, the marketing budget is just not optimized for the right return on investment. And it's like, you, of all the lies that these people tell, they tell the worst ones to themselves. So that they're not even creating the source material that they have, and then they're wondering why this is all dog shit. So so then what did they do? So this is him talking about using the AI to do this opening. When we reached out to the AI vendors, that was part of it. It just came right out of the shape-shifting scroll world identity, you know? Like, who did this? Who is this? Salim says. We would talk to Method Studios about ideas and themes and words, and then the computer would go off and do something. And then we could change it a little bit by using words, and it would change. It felt explorative and inevitable. You mean like exploitative and lazy and exciting and different. Look at how they're laundering their laziness with this article. They're just laundering their lazy mentality to their. Compare this to Tom Cruise, who gets on a motor. He trains for months to do one motorcycle stunt. He trains in how to actually. He basically trains in motocross. He becomes a motocross expert. He trains in safety. He trains in parachuting, base jumping. He does all this stuff. He does, what did he do? Like something like 10 takes on that motorcycle jump for the film. And he does all of this. This is another important thing about Tom Cruise, because I was talking about someone with just over the weekend about this. The guy's crazy, right? Is what a normie. He's crazy. He's doing all this stuff. He may look like he's crazy. And yes, is he an adrenaline junkie? I would argue he is. I would say he's living a life of adventure, which is pretty amazing. But you know something? When you listen to how he talks about how he plans for it, why does he do all that training? He does all that training because if he doesn't know what he's doing, he's going to get himself killed, or he's worse, I think in his mind, going to get someone else killed. Everything he does on the set of a film is about the proper way of doing it, having the proper safety, the proper training. What was he had a quote, and I wish I could remember it for you, but it was something along the lines of, we don't need luck, we need preparation, right? We don't need, we don't need well wishes, essentially is what he's saying, like good intentions. What we need is competence, right? And that's why he devotes so much training to it. And you compare, that is so relevant to not only why everything in Marvel sucks right now, everything in Disney Star Wars sucks, these DC movies suck, Flash sucks, the most garbage CGI I've seen in 20 years in that Flash movie. You compare that, and then you look at this horrific disaster with the Oceangate Titan that has imploded and killed 5 people on this tour. And what do you find out? The CEO who started this company, who died, unfortunately, hoisted on his own petard, I would argue, he was incompetent, he was arrogant, and he was incredibly misguided. He did not take, I would argue, the safety of his crew, his passengers, and his company seriously. And I have got receipt. I'm going to prove that to you later in the stream. But my point is, compare that with a craftsman like James Cameron or Tom Cruise, who devote themselves to the proper way of doing things. And the proper way of doing things is not a popular way of doing things because it requires effort, because it requires discipline, because it requires a work ethic, and because when you understand that competence is the key to safety, you understand that nature, whether it's the ocean or just reality, the laws of physics, they don't give a shit about your diversity, equity, and inclusion score. They don't. The laws of the universe do not care how many of the right diversity checkboxes you have on the set of a movie. If you do something stupid, you are going to get yourself killed, right? But more importantly, or I should say, more importantly, probably is the wrong term. From a perspective of simple entertainment, putting in the time and effort to craft something incredible, it requires time and effort. So let's get to my review. So, Secret Invasion. Okay, I'm watching this show, and can I just give you look? Was it as bad as like Peter Pan and Wendy, where I'm like, I can't take this. This is rendition. This is like being waterboarded. This is so bad. No, it wasn't quite that bad. What's really quite remarkable about it, though, I have to say, is it's not the most offensive thing that Marvel's ever done, but it is without a doubt the most bland, flavorless thing Marvel has done so far. It is the most forgettable, boring, mediocre. It is a study in mediocrity, this show. I hear people say they fell asleep watching it. I don't fall asleep watching things. It's very rare. I have to be really tired to fall asleep. I'm just the kind of person, no matter how tired I am, I will stay awake through almost anything if it is my intention to do so. And if I don't intend to stay awake, I turn it off because I don't watch things if I'm not interested, I'm not going to watch it. If I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed. That's just how I am. So it's very rare that I fall asleep. But what I will say is my mind wanders. And so I'm watching this show and I'm thinking, okay, I'm watching this for the live stream, and I found myself just looking off into space and thinking about something, and then suddenly remembering, oh crap, I've got to watch this, and I rewound it. I rewound it so I could be like, okay, I'm not giving this a fair shake if I'm not paying attention. And then it hit me. I am giving it a fair shake. If this stupid thing cannot hold my attention long so that I have to rewind parts just so that I can know what they said for the live stream, this is a shit show, is what it is. Now, here's the high level. This show is a poor man's Amazon Jack Ryan. And Amazon's Jack Ryan, starring, his name's escaping me all of a sudden, John Krasinski. That show, Amazon's Jack Ryan, is a bland, vanilla, boring, dated, past its time, poor man's 24. It is or Homeland, if you prefer. A show like Homeland or 24 was kinetic and exciting and had all kinds of just, detailed plots that would just pull you in episode to episode. Amazon's Jack Ryan tries at that. It fails miserably. I watched about 3 episodes. I've never been so bored in my life. I watch this show. It's not even that good. It is like this. I would not be surprised if AI wrote the show, because it's literally like, give me, ChatGPT, give me a generic spy movie plot. And all you have to do is say that the bad guys can switch identities. There's nothing about this. The thing about superhero stories is they should be utilizing the cleverness of the whole. They should be utilizing the uniqueness of superpowers, right? The whole idea of aliens from space, shapeshifters, superhumans, that should allow you to tell a more interesting spy story. How is it that this show has told a far less interesting spy story than anything? I mean, anything I can think of. I can't think of a spy movie or TV show that is less interesting than this. Fuban Blue says, so Silverback says, season 1 of Jack Ryan was okay, but yes, the captain's point is correct. It does not podium compared to 24 in Homeland. I would have like mentally edited that for you. It does not podium, but Silverback. The captain has allowed you to come aboard without permission, sir. Could you do me the courtesy, sir, of reading your chats before you post them? I say, I'm quite incensed. Fu Man Blue says Frontier 2 was pretty great. Weird. I've seen Jack Ryan 3 times, 2 times, and 3 once. That is the most difficult chat math I've ever had, Fu Man Blue. You got to help me out there. Jack Ryan. Well, look, I'm not going to turn this stream into my review of Jack Ryan because, I mean, it's old news, but I'm telling you, that show is boring as hell. I could not be bothered to be interested in one thing going on in that show. And this is coming from someone who thinks, Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford, great film. That's a great film. So I'm not saying the Jack Ryan character is not interesting. I'm saying that show... That was pathetic. Like they couldn't even get, and honestly, Terminal List with Chris Pratt, I would say is a good example of a spy type thriller TV show that's pretty good. But even that, in the beginning, I didn't find the first episode all that enthralling. It is miles ahead of Jack Ryan. This show, take everything I just said about Jack Ryan and just bring the bar down about 5 notches and you have Secret Invasion. Here's the key to a good spy thriller. A good spy thriller has got to have layers. It has got to have multiple things happening that are subtle, nuanced, and below the surface. And then it's got to have things happening below that. So that while you're watching it, and I do not, but Captain, it's only the first episode. You have to give it time. Yet the first episode is your opportunity to sell the audience on continuing to watch. If you have failed to do that, you have failed. You have failed. The first episode, honestly, based on this episode, I would never watch another episode again. I can tell you that with 100% confidence. I would not watch another episode of this show again. I will, because of this channel. So, a spy thriller should be easy to sell in the first episode. Something blows up. Something terrible happens. Our main character starts to unravel the plot. There is one twist in the middle of the episode that throws everything into chaos, and then a hook at the end that pulls you into a deeper mystery. That's all you need. You don't need any more than that in a first episode of a spy thriller. This show fails at all those things. First season is boring as hell. Sorry, it's first season. First scene, I meant to say, is boring as hell. Where do I even start with this? The plot, spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil the hell out of this. So if you don't want Secret Invasion Episode 1 spoiled, honestly, I'm doing you a favor. Please, just trust me on this, okay? So the whole plot is the Skrulls, which are shape-shifting aliens that have been here since the events of Captain Marvel. Who cares? Have you seen Captain Marvel? Well, if you haven't, honestly, even if you don't know what's going on, you're not going to be missing anything with this show. The Skrulls are looking for a new home, and Nick Fury was supposed to have found them one, but it's taken him 30 years, and he hasn't found them one. Why do the Skrulls not have any other connections in the galaxy? Why are they relying on a pre-Starflight society to find them a new home on another planet? Why would they not be reaching out to any other civilization, especially since the other MCU films have established that there are other benevolent civilizations in the galaxy, right? So why are the Skrulls not able, or if the Skrulls aren't, why is Nick Fury in S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is there a S.H.I.E.L.D.? I mean, who even knows at this point? They don't even answer that question in this first episode. Does S.H.I.E.L.D. exist? They don't even answer that question in this episode. Honestly, that was what I was most interested in. What is the status of S.H.I.E.L.D.? What is Nick Fury's role in it? That was the most interesting thing about this show in terms of possibilities. They didn't even address it. Why are the Skrulls unable? Why is Nick Fury unable to reach out to anyone that has the ability to find them another planet? But that would presuppose that I even give a shit. So that's just number one. Number two, they are unhappy that they have not found a place to live yet, and so a how can I put this? A group of them has become a terrorist group that are living. I forgot how dumb this is. Okay. Okay, so a terrorist group of these Skrulls have decided they've had enough with humanity, that we have failed them in their search for a new home, and it is time to get rid of humanity, and now we will claim the Earth for ourselves, and the Earth will become the home of the Skrulls. How is a tiny, population that numbers in, I can only guess, it numbers in less than the thousands? How are they supposed to supplant a population of 7 billion? So how does that even make any sense at all? If at least their idea was we're going to conquer humanity by taking control of all their governments, that might be one thing. So how is this terrorist group escaping notice? How is it that none of the Avengers and none of the world's governments and S.H.I.E.L.D., whether it exists or not, is unable to locate any of these terrorist groups? Well, my dear sailors and starnauts, it is because they have made their home, as the show explains, in the ruins of abandoned Soviet nuclear facilities because they are immune to radiation, and this makes them undetectable because we don't know where any of these facilities are. What? We have no ability. Tony Stark has space-age technology that can just drop, Iron Man suits from space and scan the planet and do all this stuff. We can't locate radioactive nuclear sites and just go find the Skrulls at those nuclear sites where they're living. We know exactly where they are. So the show begins with, we know exactly what the Skrulls want. We know exactly what they're doing. We know exactly where they are. This is a spy thriller? Explain this to me. More of this in a second, but Fu Man Blue says not to break your stride, but can we get a link to the campaign? You must be referring to my pre-order campaign for my book, which I am pausing on that just temporarily because I'm working on my ad strategy, but I will send it. It's galaxyborn.com. I will put it in the chat. There you go. There it is. But just take a look. Sign up for the email list. That's all I will say. I'm working on it right now. It's under construction. So anyhow, yeah, I'm gonna pause on that for right now. So take a look. Put in your name and email, and I will send updates to you. So yes, your captain has been hard at work on lots of things, and I just am not where I want to be with that yet. So I will be more on that later. So I'm watching this show, and a couple of things. Samuel L. Jackson, the first time I watched through it, right, it is just a basic bitch spy story. It's not even a thriller. It's everything is by the numbers. You're ahead of the story at every turn. The Skrulls are going to detonate a nuclear dirty bomb in Russia, and they're going to start World War III. And that is what will get rid of humanity for them. There's even a line in this where Ben Mendelsohn, who plays, what's his character's name? Talos. Who, what a waste of a great actor. Ben Mendelsohn is so magnetic in every scene he's in, and even he's kind of phoning it in. Not only is Talos, the chief alien, right? Not only is he over the hill, so is Nick Fury. I got that the wrong way. Nick Fury is not the only one that's over the hill, so is Talos. They're basically a buddy cop situation in this show, and they're both calling each other out on how slow and not as good as they used to be they both were. Basically, Nick Fury has big sad. Nick Fury has big sad because Tony Stark died and things did not work out as well as they hoped. Even though they saved the planet and everyone's back from the snap, Nick Fury has big sad. They have absolutely pussified the character of Nick Fury. The MCU has. They have, it took them 2 movies to strip him completely of 2 Avengers movies, I should say. 2 Avengers movies. No, it wasn't even 2 Avengers movies. It was 1 Avengers movie and then Winter Soldier. They stripped him of the role of director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why? Why? They stripped him of the role of director of S.H.I.E.L.D. They dismantled the concept of S.H.I.E.L.D. And now he is a sad sack old loser, and he spends this whole episode being told that by Talos, and then himself telling Talos that he's a sad sack loser, and then not 1 but 2 strong female women basically tell him that he is a loser and he should quit, and he's going to get people killed if he tries. Why do they need him? I don't even understand why they need him in this show, because the whole premise of the show is, We have a Skrull plot to overthrow the planet. We need Nick Fury. We need Nick Fury to save us. And everyone spends the whole episode telling Nick Fury, we don't need you here. What are you doing? You're making things worse. Get out. So mostly it's Nick Fury. And Nick Fury is a superhuman. Now, he doesn't have superhuman abilities, but he is superhuman in skill, in spycraft. He's the spy master. He is like the ultimate spy master. There's literally a scene in which a couple of henchmen from another agent grab him from behind and throw him into a van like he was a civilian. Like, he doesn't even put up a fight. It's not even hard. They just grab him and throw him into a van. And the very next scene is the strong female woman, Secret Agent Sonia Falsworth, played by Olivia Colman from The Crown. She basically proceeds to tell him, wow, that was pathetic. My 2 stooges were able to pick you up easily. And he says, oh, I let you pick me up because I wanted to talk to you. And I'm like, even so, this is so pathetic. Because what did I say at the beginning? A spy thriller has to have layers, right? So they have to be playing the game that they know, the game that they think the other one knows, and then the game that they think they know that the other one knows that they know, right? They have to have multiple layers of every game. So if he just allows them to pick him up with no fight whatsoever, he's not even presenting the illusion that he's trying to appear competent. So how could she not see through that? How could she not see through the fact that, well, this is Nick Fury? That was too easy. He must have allowed us to capture him, right? If he's a true spy master, he would give the illusion that he tried but failed. And he doesn't even go that far. They spend a lot of the episode... this whole episode seems to be dedicated to pointing out that Nick Fury is black, and that he sticks out like a sore thumb in Moscow, and that Russians don't like black people. Now, you would think, based on this episode of the show, that if you're a black person, do not go to Russia. Like, do not go. It's like not going to be good for you. You're not going to have a good time. Is that the case? Maybe it is the case. Maybe I just don't understand. Maybe I just don't know anything. But based on this show, I would say there's no such thing as black tourism in Russia. Like, it doesn't happen. If this show's portrayal of Russia is to be believed. Somehow, I find that doubtful. I find it doubtful that Moscow is like the most hot. It's like 1950s Jim Crow segregation over there in Russia for all the black tourists. The dialogue on the show is pathetic. There's literally a line. It goes like this: Agent Falsworth, who is dressing him down for what a sad old sack loser he is, basically says, "You know damn well what was in that storage vault." Or no, he says to her, "You know damn well what was in that storage vault. What's in the storage vault, we don't know." And she says, "The fact you don't know tells me all I need to know about this older Nick Fury." Is this interesting dialogue to you? So, you know what's in the storage vault. The fact that you don't know what's in the storage vault tells me all I need to know. This is why I say this show is written by ChatGPT. So Davos is a loser. His daughter is on the side of the terrorists. He begs her for forgiveness because he's a failed father. She blames him for the death of his mother. Oh, who cares? The plot of the villains is they're going to detonate dirty bombs in Moscow to set off World War III. This is going to eliminate humanity so that they can, what, take possession of an irradiated hellhole? How does this make sense for motivation for these aliens. So like, oh, we want a home of our own, so we're going to irradiate this one and just take it. They do say in the show they're immune to radiation, but that doesn't change the fact that they would still be inheriting a wasteland. They would be inheriting a destroyed planet. Why would they want that? Also, what is their plan to survive the nuclear holocaust? Now, with all that being said, we get to the end of the episode in one of the most anemic, I would say it's supposed to be a dramatic sequence in which they're trying to prevent a bomb from going off. I was watching it as I was watching spots of it before this stream to kind of check a couple parts of the episode, and it struck me how you see this in the Flash movie with Michael Shannon. You see this in so many movies now. I don't even think Samuel L. Jackson's heart is in this. He sounds like he's reading the lines. He's like, "Oh, we've got people on our 6 o'clock. Let's go, people." He doesn't even sound like he cares. So they're in the middle of this square in Moscow, and there's all these tourists around. They have this, it's supposed to be this big dramatic moment where the villain detonates the bomb. Can I just ask you a question? If you are a terrorist who is detonating a bomb, and you're not a suicide bomber, your intention is to start the ball rolling. You want to get this bombing done. Do you detonate it standing right next to it? You have a remote detonator, you detonate the bomb, and the bomb is like 10 feet from you. That's literally what happens at the end of this episode. They detonate the bomb, it's like 30 feet away, then he detonates another one that's like 40 feet away. The heroes are right in the middle of it. These bombs are going off. They're not killed. I don't think they understand the physics of explosions over at Marvel, okay? I don't think Disney... It's like, oh, yeah, you could just stand next to an explosion, and as long as you're not right next to it, you'll be fine. It's like, do you understand a thing called shrapnel? Like, do you understand a thing called a shockwave? Like, you do not have to be in the blast to die. So the villain's grand plan is that he's going to stand in the middle of a circle of bombs and detonate them with a remote detonator one by one while he stands next to them. It is... Now, where did the dirty bombs go? So the heroes are standing next to these. They can't be dirty bombs or else everyone in the show just got irradiated, including Nick Fury. So then that can't be what happened. So they just detonated regular bombs standing right next to them. And how is that supposed to start World War III? This show is bizarre. It's confusing. Spoiler alert, as I said at the beginning, Maria Hill, as played by Kobe Smulders, who is a small C-lister supporting character. She's been in the Avengers. She's kind of been a stand-in for S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. You know, that they sort of treat her cameos like it's a big deal. It's like she's a supporting character who occasionally is played as like an A-lister guest supporting character on like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode or something like that. Unfortunately, she meets her end in this episode. Now, let me explain something. All the characters know damn well that the Skrulls can impersonate anyone. These are supposed to be trained Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. operators. Now, Agent Hill, Maria Hill, played by Kobe Smulders, she also gets to dress down Nick Fury for what an idiot he is, for how over the hill he is, how he's going to get people killed, he's sad, he's a loser, and he's got to go back to his space station because he's going to get people killed. Because she apparently is at the top of her game. So what does she do? She walks right up to a double of Nick Fury, who then shoots her in the stomach. It turns out he's a Skrull, and she dies. And that's the cliffhanger for the end of the episode. These are the best and brightest. These are the expert. They know that they are up against people that can impersonate anyone, and she is completely taken by surprise and killed. How in the hell has she survived all these Avengers stories this long? It doesn't make any sense at all. But you know, all these problems that I've just listed are not the worst part of the show. I kind of, you know, I'm not really in the position of hating this show. You know, I just don't care about it enough to even hate it. It was boring. It was so boring. Oh my God, it's like paint drying, this show. My mind kept wandering. What was that? Oh, because what I'm thinking about is more interesting than anything happening in this show. Secret Invasion This is not going to rescue Disney, okay? Things are not looking up, folks. Things are not getting better anytime soon. Fu Man Blue says the Galaxy-born art is fantastic. Well, thank you, Fu Man Blue. I appreciate that. I'm working on it. That more on that. You shall see. You shall see. Okay. I have a article on this show that I want to share with you. Because not everybody dislikes the show. Your captain, it turns out I am dead wrong. I am dead wrong about this show, and I'll prove it to you. Your captain is about to contradict himself. Secret Invasion is awesome. This from Cosmic Book News. Off to a great start. Let's hope it continues. By Matt McGloin. This is so I came across this review and I have not read the full thing, so I'm going to read it to you live. Your captain is nothing if not open to debate. I want to hear a defense of this show, so let us hear it, shall we? Gone is the goofy-ass MCU, and now we have something serious, something sinister, something with actual stakes. We have Secret Invasion. This is a troll, right? This guy's... No, I misread this. You know what I think this is? This is ironic. I think... You let me know if you think this is ironic or if this is for real. But I can't decide as of yet. Warning, spoilers follow. Yes. Marvel's event series debuted tonight with the first episode where the Skrulls are invading Earth, and it's up to Nick Fury to put a stop to those darn and dirty shapeshifters. The episode is the best of any of the Marvel shows on Disney+. Light years better than both She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. That, my friend, is not a high bar. Okay? This is better than shit on a shingle. And comparisons to Andor are right on the money. But I would argue Secret Invasion is actually better, as Andor features a real lot of buildup, while Secret Invasion builds you up to an explosion. Oh, no. Dude, okay, I'd say one thing for Andor. Andor is actually a show with spycraft in it. That is the one thing I will say for Andor. In fact, thank you for letting me know, Mr. McGloin. Thank you for reminding me. If Disney is to get credit for something with good spycraft, Andor, I would say. That being said, Andor is way too slow. It's way too many episodes. Every third episode is basically all you need to see. So it's got huge problems, but it is capable of telling a story about cloak and dagger rebel spies trying to build a rebellion to defeat the Empire. And when it is good at that, it is fantastic. This show, not even close. Not even close. Andor actually has some incredible dialogues in it. There are some scenes in Andor that are freaking brilliant. Maybe we'll watch one, actually. You know what? Maybe we will watch one. Let me see if I could drum up a couple comparisons here. The episode quickly brings viewers up to speed regarding the history of Nick Fury from Avengers Endgame, as well as the Skrull. What has happened to S.H.I.E.L.D., sir? Where is S.H.I.E.L.D.? They don't address it at all. As well as the Skrulls from Captain Marvel movie. Oh my God, Captain Marvel! What I particularly like about the episode and the series is a major problem I had with the Captain Marvel movie, and even the legendary Roy Thomas. Who is that? Is that the Skrulls weren't the bad guys as they were in the comics. But boy, does all that change in Secret Invasion. The series so far isn't your typical MCU, same old, where everything ends all hunky-dory and is full of goofy jokes. Things might not end with the good guys winning, which is a theme used throughout the episode in regard to why Fury left and returns to Earth. I'm tired of the Thor Love and Thunders, the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanias, and the Guardians of the Galaxies. Secret Invasion is more in line with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Infinity War. Give me more of that, Feige. Oh, no. This is desperation is what this is. You cannot be serious. The Winter Soldier? Oh, this is sad. I pity this guy. It's sad. He's a blue pill, folks. This is a blue pill. If this is serious and not a troll, this is a blue pill. He means well. He just hasn't figured it out yet. You know what I mean? It's like the episode actually feels like an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And did you like that show? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., say what you want about that show. It was better than this. And I was hoping Coulson would be back. Imagine if the end of the episode featured Coulson returning, especially with what happened. Feige needs to get over his Marvel TV resentments and bring back Coulson. Now that would be perfect timing. Some thoughts. Wow, they killed off Martin Freeman as Agent Everett Ross. Did they? Honestly, that's unclear to me. Watching the start of the episode, you could tell they were building up to him being a Skrull, but I wasn't sure if he was impersonated or not. I'm not sure if they said it in the episode, but my take is that it wasn't the real... Well, duh, no shit. Really? That was in question with you? Come on now. Nick Fury is back. Nick Fury returns and seems to be rather old and tired. Gee, only every character in the episode pointed that out to his face. However, I question if that is all a ruse and Fury is simply playing possum. See, now, this is exactly the argument I would expect in defense of this episode. Oh, well, the reason he gets snuck up on so easily and the reason he's such a fool is because he's just playing the part. Really? He's playing the part for other spies. Other spies should be able to sniff out what an obvious fake this is. They should immediately sense if this is him faking them. He's not playing this 2 layers deep. Okay, the script of this episode is 1 layer deep. You cannot do that. You cannot do that in a spy thriller. You can't have an effective spy thriller that's 1 layer deep. Everything's at a surface level. Oh, he's totally incompetent. He's just pretending to be. That's not deep enough for an interesting spy thriller, sir. Because it's spies against spies. That would only work on... Okay, I've gone too far on that. Emilia Clarke is... Oh, my God. You put Emilia Clarke in something and everyone thinks for some reason this is a great... Look, she has had 1 role in which she was amazing, Daenerys Targaryen. Everything she's done after that has been crap. Emilia Clarke is terrific in the episode and plays the Skrull daughter of Ben Mendelsohn's Talos. I called it that she set her father and Fury up regarding the bombs. Oh, no! Thank you for reminding me! I forgot about this! So, at the final act of the show, so they've got to figure out a way to trap the good guys, right? They've got to trap the good Skrulls and Nick Fury. How are they going to do this? Well, they figure out... Fixing the camera there. They figure out that they can lure them in. They don't tell you what it is. She basically says, well, I know how we can lure them into a trap. The very next scene is her meeting with her father, and her father, who knows that she's part of the terrorists, is trying to bring her back into the fold. And he is trying to convince her to come back. And it's not my fault. Your mother was killed by these people, and it's not my fault. And I want you back. You're my daughter. And at first, she said, no, I blame you. And then, 1 second later, he says one more plea, and she says, okay, I'll come home. The very next scene is Talos reporting to Nick Fury, she's back in the fold. I'm like, clearly that's the trap. Clearly that's the trap. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a spy This is a spy who has been working as a spy with Nick Fury for 30 years, and he can't even spot that his own daughter just did the most obvious. She did, at least have it be that he's cautiously optimistic. Have it be that he says, well, she's said she's back in the fold. It could be a trap, And Nick Fury's like, you realize she's playing you. He's like, possibly, but she's my daughter. I have to at least try. It's like, at least that would give him some credibility. But no. So it's like, he's like, this guy is totally happy with this show. He's totally happy with it being 1 layer deep. Is exactly. Okay, what else? I don't know. I think I've had enough of this guy. Kobe Smulders. It was great to see Maria Hill back, especially with Fury. Where's Coulson? Where is Coulson? And what an ending! MCU stans are already crying on Twitter about it. Loved it. It just shows how far the Skrulls are willing to go and what a villain Gravik is going to be throughout the series, and that the MCU does have actual stakes. Also, did they make it look as if Maria Hill is actually to blame for the bombs? Why is he doesn't like, he sounds like a Marvel stan though. Quite seriously, he does. I'm truly trying to figure this out because he has other reviews where he doesn't like some of the new Marvel. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm just not with you on this. This is like such a bad. They said their plan was to detonate dirty bombs. The end of the episode is they detonate just some regular standard demolition, but standing right next to them. This is the weirdest terrorist plot I've ever seen. Unless you're a suicide bomber, if you're a suicide bomber, you don't need a remote detonator. Okay, the detonator's on you. So they're not suicide bombers. So why are they detonating bombs 10 feet from the bombs? Because it looks dramatic. It looks dramatic. Fu Man Blue says, I think he's serious, Captain. I know, right? Captain, I think he's serious. I think he's serious. It's like, whoa, I feel bad for this guy. This smacks of all the other fluff pieces like Scooby and Shite Hulk. Yeah. He may not believe what he's saying, but he's writing like he doesn't want his boss to know. Silverback says, the Skrulls sound like a ripoff of the changelings from DS9. Well, okay, I mean, if being a shapeshifter is a ripoff, shapeshifters are a very typical sci-fi. I'm not going to say that's a ripoff. Also, they existed in the comics for decades. The Skrulls are a very old concept in Marvel Comics. But so I'm not going to say it's a ripoff of anything. Look, it's a shapeshifter. That's just an ability. That would be like saying mind control is a ripoff of this other mind control character. It's like, it's just a trope. It's a trope. But so I wouldn't totally agree with that. But I will just say this show is boring as hell. It is basic bitch at its best. It is the most anemic attempt at a spy thriller I've ever seen. It does not succeed as a spy show. It does not succeed as a superhero show. There's no superheroing in this at all. The fight scenes are pathetic. There is no choreography that is interesting at all to watch. The settings are bland. They're boring looking. They look pathetic. They're gray and dismal. I mean, it is in Russia, but Russian culture is quite colorful in different aspects of it. Unfortunately, Soviet communism turned that into a very gray country. But I feel like there are ways to get, the Mission Impossible films go to Russia, and it's bright, and it's vibrant. It's interesting to look at. The Mission Impossible films are able to do Russia justice. This show, it's pathetic. Let me see if I can find this for you. What is the name of the character that Stellan Skarsgård plays in Andor? Because his character in Andor is, frankly, the only reason to watch the show. I'm just going to tell you right now. Stellan Skarsgård's character in Andor is the only reason to watch this show. Yes, okay. I think I can find that one for you. Stellan Skarsgård, Andor monologue. Yeah, I know it. I don't even have to guess. It's going to pull it right up if it's here. Yes. Luthen Rael's monologue. Okay, I'm going to play this for you. And then, screw it. If I get a copyright claim, I'll just have to take the L. I'll appeal it because this is transformative. It will be transformative. And I want to compare this, if I can find this, I want to compare it with the scene between, who do we have here? What's the name of this character? Who could even remember? The show's so boring. Agent Falsworth. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Agent Falsworth and Nick Fury. If I can find this dialogue and just give you a side-by-side, you will get a flavor. This might be it. I might have it for you. Unless this is... Oh, no, it's interviews. It's interviews. I can't use that. Yeah, it's too recent. I don't have it for you. Okay, just take my word for it, right? This is the dialogue I'm referring to, where she's like, he says to her, you know what was in that cache. And she's like, the fact that you don't know what was in that cache tells me all I need to know about the old Nick Fury. It is pathetic. It's a boring dialogue. So allow me to give you the comparison of what a real, actually fairly well-written spycraft show can do. Bringing up the browser. Volume.
And what do you sacrifice?
Let me set up this scene for you. In the Andor show, Stellan Skarsgård is playing a double agent role. He is pretending to be an antiquities dealer on Coruscant who is playing nice with the Empire. He schmoozes with all of the elite among the Empire, but secretly he has an alter ego in which he is fomenting a rebellion. And he is a handler for a lot of deep cover rebel spies, and he sort of strong arms them like any good spycraft handler. He kind of tries to keep them in line and keep them doing what they're doing so they feed him information he can use to foment the rebellion. So this is a scene in which this guy has delivered for him over and over again. He's scared. He wants out. He's afraid the Empire is going to sniff him out. And so he's begging Luthen here to let him out of this. So here we go.
Calm. Kindness, kinship.
Okay, I missed it. Let me get back to this. Okay. So they cut to just kind of the interesting part here. Basically, in this conversation, the guy says, please let me out. I want out of this. I've done everything for you. I've given everything. And he says, no, I'm not letting you out. You're going to go right back in, and you're going to keep feeding me information from the Empire. And if you don't, I will ruin you. And he says, how can you do this to me? I have a family. You know, I have sacrificed so much for this cause. What do you sacrifice? You're up there in your ivory tower. What have you done? And that's basically his question. And this is Luthen's answer.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm. Kindness, kinship. Love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, they set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything!
Hot damn. Oh, that's a great scene. Let me assure you, my dear sailors and star nuts. Secret Invasion, nowhere close to that. Not even close. Not in their wildest dreams. That cannot be written by ChatGPT. That scene cannot be written by an AI. Because that requires the human experience. And that is why Andor honestly is probably, with all of its flaws, the best thing that Disney Plus has ever produced. And it's sad because it's still not that great. You watch pick any dialogue in Secret Invasion, and it's pathetic by comparison with that. So, and you know, there's a whole part of that dialogue that precedes that outburst he has at the end, where they're going back and forth on "please let me out," and he seems like such a cruel asshole because he's just like, "No, you're staying in," and then that's how he closes it by saying, like, "I'm working for a sunrise I will never see, so I've sacrificed everything." And I know that this isn't ending with any happy ending for me. So you're going back in. It's like, that's writing. That's writing, folks. So, Yes, definitely. There were some high points of Andor, if anyone hasn't seen it. Yes, Stellan is fantastic. He is the. If it weren't for him, Andor. Honestly, I couldn't have gotten through it. I only watched every third episode. He's the reason I stayed in on that show. In fact, I kind of would skip a lot of the other scenes just to get to like the Stellan Skarsgård part. Just make a show about him. He's interesting. Like he's leading this double life, trying to figure, the Empire's on his heels. Actually, the Imperials were pretty interesting as well, but I digress. So, it is time for a Captain's Damage Report, because Disney has taken a lot of L's, folks, and it is time that we take account. So we're going to get into that coming straight up. Before we do, a quick break, and your captain will be right back. Yes. Welcome back. Captain's Cast, I am Captain Garrett. This is Swords and Starships Channel. And please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button. We are talking about Disney and their L's. The massive L's they are taking. There is one analysis that your captain has become apprised of, which he will now share with you. Is it possible, my dear sailors and starnauts, that Disney has lost nearly $1 trillion on their recent projects? That is a lot of money. Actually, now that I say that out loud, I'm like, am I reading this story right? I gotta double check this, because like that doesn't even sound right. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna grab this headline for you. Maybe I'm thinking it's more like $1 billion, 900 million. Here comes the article. And also, I have a couple of pull quotes I want to play as well from the original. This hat tip Valiant Renegade with this story. Disney is bleeding at the box office. So I'm going to, so here we go. Try this headline. Financial analyst speculates, that would be Valiant Renegade, the Walt Disney Company has lost nearly $900 million at the box office in the past year. I do not know why I suddenly misread that as billions. Yeah, I was like, a trillion? No, they can't have lost a trillion. That would be an Amazon. Anyhow, my mistake. What I meant to say was they have lost nearly a billion. A billy at the box office. That is quite a significant loss. So I'm going to give you just a flavor of this. A flavor of this from Valiant Renegade.
Welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed, I'm going to do something I haven't done before.
Let me see if I can
put them all together to see what kind of trailing 12 months, or TTM, that Disney has had with it.
He does this really excellent breakdown. I highly recommend checking out the whole video, but this is the part. This I wanted to show you.
From Marvel Studios. Today, I'm going to do something I haven't done before. Lightyear from Pixar. Thor: Love and Thunder from Marvel Studios. Strange World from Disney Animation. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever from Marvel Studios. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, also from Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Marvel Studios again. The Little Mermaid from Walt Disney Studios. And finally, Elemental from Pixar. We have covered individually each of these movies here on Valiant Renegade, from their initial projections to the time the box office closed, tracking carefully their performance and matched it against their production and marketing budgets. But what we haven't done before is put them all together to see what kind of trailing 12 months, or TTM, that Disney has had with its return on investment, or ROI.
So he basically breaks down. He has numbers and receipts for all of this. And so what he's taking into account here is not so there's an important element that gets missed when the average John Q citizen is reading the headlines on this, right? When you hear that the box office, Little Mermaid rakes in 200 million at the box office. Now you're thinking that 200 million is the money that is flowing to Disney. Not so. That is the gross revenue on ticket sales. The problem is Disney only gets a percentage of the ticket sales. Any company for distribution, they're only getting a percentage, and the percentage is different for different countries. Disney only gets about 25% of the ticket revenue from Chinese ticket sales. So that means that if you hear that the film made 100 billion, or there we go again, 100 gazillion dollars. If the movie made $100 million in China, that means Disney only actually got 25 million in revenue, which means that as in the case of Little Mermaid, if it only made like 25 million in revenue, that means Disney got like, a couple million. That's bad. So he's taking all that into it. So now he's taking into account the production cost of the film, the marketing budget of the film, because whatever they spend on production, they spend almost that much, or at least, often as much on marketing. So if they spent $250 million to make it, they probably spent $250 million to market it. Then he's clawing back the percentage they're not getting from the gross ticket sales and adjusting for that amount. And then he's saying, now, how much did they actually make on all this? So I will just skip to the juicy bit here. He's got like this whole table laid out. It's fantastic. Definitely Valiant Renegade. Check him out.
Into theaters. $2.75 billion was the total WDC total investment. Again, you can see down there, this is Lightyear, Thor: Love and Thunder, Strange World, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Little Mermaid, and Elemental. So
has this guy got a great radio voice or what? Like this guy, Elemental, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I approve.
Disney spent...
Captain Salute, Valiant Renegade. It's an excellent presentation, sir. I like the cut of your jib.
$2.75 billion to make all those films. How much did they actually get back in rentals from theaters? $1.86 billion. That was the total theatrical rental income, again, for those same 8 films. And I want to stipulate, you'll see down there, The Little Mermaid and Elemental are estimated. Of course, they have not yet completed their runs, but I think my estimates on them are very fair. Again, go back and look at the slide. You can pause it on there and look.
So he's basically saying, in the last 12 months, all these films that Disney's released, they spent $2.75 billion on the marketing, the budget, all of that. 12-month rolling period. This is what they raked in, adjusting for all those amounts, right? $1.86 billion. And when he says theatrical rental income, that's what he's talking about. Like, they're basically saying this is their percentage of the ticket sales.
Down the entire list for yourself as long as you like. So I'm not a math whiz or anything, but it seems like there would be a loss there. Yeah, that would be about an $890 million loss. With a $2.75 billion spend and a $1.86 billion intake, that's what we're left with, about $890 million in losses on these last 8 films in the aggregate. Now, some of you may be...
Now, 8 films, and pretty much every one of them has been if not a barely break even, a total loser. Think about this, folks. Think about this. Disney, in the last year, and that's not even all their failures. He's just going back 1 year. They have lost $890 million. What must those meetings, what must those executive and board meetings even be like? I mean, can you imagine? And their parks where they're undefeated. They are the kings of park entertainment. They have just shuttered. Their Galactic Star Cruiser, their giant Star Wars hotel boondoggle, has lost them millions. So they're losing millions on the parks. Oh, and of course, lest we forget, Florida, where woke goes to die, one governor of great repute revoked their special status in which they got to write their own tax ticket in Florida. That's gone. So now they're actually paying their fair share of taxes. I thought you guys liked that. I thought you guys were all about paying your fair share in taxes. Can I just flag something here for you? Isn't it amazing how the wokies, they're just like, no, Trump didn't pay any taxes. He didn't pay any taxes. Jeff Bezos never pays taxes. Then they hear, what? Ron DeSantis is making Disney pay taxes? That's evil. That's wrong. It's like they're not even consistent. It's like, for whatever reason, it's like as long as this is why ESG is so darling to all these companies. Think about it. These companies are all enemy number one. They're soulless, evil corporate raiders. They're rich, evil white guys. Ew, gross. And until they announce that they are hiring LGBTQ plus IA persons, until they announce that there are women of color that are directing their films. When they do that, suddenly they get all the people that hated them for all their rich ivory tower, never paying taxes bullshit are now defending them when a governor holds them accountable to paying their taxes. It's incredible when you think about it. DEI unlocks doors, or so they think. It's just that, unfortunately, DEI comes with a price tag. A price tag of $890 million, the wages of wokeness. Now, this is just one man's estimation. Watch the whole video. Give him a like, give him a follow, and check out his slides. They're very thorough. And I am convinced he's dead on the money here. In fact, he might actually be underestimating it because his estimates are fairly conservative. He gives them the benefit of the doubt on a lot of these numbers. So he's really just saying, look, we know for a fact you only get a certain percentage of these ticket sales. That means you could only have made this much money. That means, ergo, $890 million. What is wokeness worth to you, Bob Iger? What is it worth to you? Can you put a price on diversity and representation? I suspect you are discovering that there is a price, regardless of whether you are willing to pay it. And on that note, this brings me to some rather unfortunate news for Disney because, with losses like those, we do encounter, there are casualties. There are casualties along the way. And it is a sad day. Doff your hats, dear sailors and star nuts. You see, Disney's chief diversity officer, Latondra Newton, has left the company. Diversity. You notice something about this title, by the way? They don't call it a chief diversity president, vice president of diversity. They don't call it senior executive. They call it an officer. Like, these people hate the cops. That would be the woke crowd I'm referring to. The wokies, they hate the cops, but they sure do love cop titles, don't they? They sure do love the title officer when it's in the context they want it. When they can use it to ruin your life, they love being an officer. The chief diversity officer and senior vice president. Like, why don't they just leave it at that? Just call it a vice president. Latondra Newton is exiting her role after more than 6 years, according to an internal memo obtained by Variety. And so, the corporate, the typical corporate BS that this was the internal memo. To our extended DEI and HR team, I'm writing to share the news that Latondra Newton has decided to leave the Walt Disney Company to pursue other endeavors. It's always pursuing other endeavors, right? I like how Elon Musk puts it. They could pretend to work somewhere else. Since joining the company in 2017, Latondra has led the company's strategic diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Oh my God. If I ever had to work in a DI office, I would just shoot myself. Can you imagine the worthless work that they do? How pointless it all is? You're a professional hall monitor. Including partnering with stakeholders. Oh, God, I hate corporate speak. Partnering with stakeholders across the enterprise to amplify stories of the world by people around the world. She has been dedicated to ensuring every person sees themselves and their life experiences represented in a meaningful and authentic way. I know you all join me in thanking Latondra for her many contributions, including the lasting impact she has had on our employees and our culture, to the tune of $890 million. I added that part, of course. Working alongside all of you and so many others, she has inspired countless cast members and employees to bring about lasting change and stop being problematic and do better, and to help create a world where we can all feel safe and we all belong, unless you're a Trump supporter or a Christian. These people love safety if you're the right person. Unless you're a 50-year-old white guy, and then you don't have any right to feel safe. Then you should, no more white comfort for you. This is why I despise the woke so much. Honestly, this is why that word woke, they hate that word. They hate it, which is why I use it, because it is an albatross we have hung, and I will continue to hang around their necks. They will wear it until it falls off, which is going to be a very long time, because look at what absolute total liars and hypocrites they are. They have no interest in any world where everyone feels safe and everyone belongs. What they have an interest in is a world where the people they like and the causes they support have safety, and everyone else can just be deplatformed and can fuck off. That is what they're about. They are absolute tyrants. And what is the most disgusting thing about tyrants is they always use the language of liberty. Right? They use the language of, but can I just point something else out about what is this obsession our society has with safety? This to me is a sign that we are deteriorating as a civilization, in that we have this irrational expectation that we should feel safe always at all times. Life is not safe. Being human is not safe. Now, I am not saying that injustice should be allowed to occur, or that if something bad is happening, people should not be protected. Of course not. But the expectation that the highest state of existence in life is to never struggle, to never, ever have to confront something that makes you feel uncomfortable, to never have to overcome great odds, it would destroy us. We're not built for such things. We must have challenge in life. There must be some risk, or there's no reward. Latandra's direct reports will... Oh, who cares? Look, this isn't... Honestly, I don't 100% know what to make of this. Probably in their warped... I can only imagine that Bob Iger is probably firing this babe because to borrow an old phrase, a phrase from El Rushbo, he's firing this babe, I guess, to find someone more compliant. I mean, you can't... The only good news here would be is if they eliminated the position of diversity and equity and inclusion officer. That would be the only actual win for the company. If they want these millions of dollars they're losing to stop, they need to eliminate the position. She has exited the company because that position no longer exists. But that is not what they're doing. They couldn't if they wanted to. I mean, look, to be fair, Disney could never eliminate that position. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. The wokies would come after him. They'd have a mob at their gates. It would be a shit show. Bob Iger, they'd be plotting to kidnap that guy. They'd be toxics. Oh, it would not be pretty. So, on the one hand, maybe this is just a lateral thing. They're just getting rid of her to bring in someone that'll just toe the line. My guess is they probably just want someone who will just sit at their desk and just pretend to work. That is the best case scenario for Bob, is I'm just going to hire someone that will have the title and collect the paycheck and generally not do very much. Just sit there, collect their paycheck, and, keep the woke tards happy, keep the blue-haired land whales placated while we try and make some movies that actually turn a profit. I can only guess. That's my most optimistic prediction of what's happening. That is my most optimistic interpretation of what's happening here. My most pessimistic would be that, honestly, she just literally did just quit the company for other endeavors, and they're just going to hire another one. They're just going to, oh yeah. What a worthless position is diversity, equity, and inclusion. How could you even respect yourself if you had that title? You literally do something the world does not need, that improves the lives of no one, that contributes nothing, that adds no value, and worse, as established by the millions, the billions of dollars lost across multiple companies, it actually harms the efforts of creativity. It harms the efforts of craftsmanship and filmmaking. It destroys livelihoods. It destroys companies. It destroys film projects. What you do is poison, Miss Latandra. What you do is worse than worthless. It's poisonous. It wrecks companies and bleeds money, destroys livelihoods, kills dreams, ruins characters, destroys franchises. It's awful. It's anti-human. It's anti-art. It's propaganda. It's tyranny. So, goodbye. Thank you for nothing. We'll see how your replacement does. If they do nothing, they'll do a better job than you. So, yes, Disney deserves every dollar that they've lost. Every single dollar. Hey, did you know that there is another Walking Dead show coming out? Did you know about this? Have you heard about this? I came across this trailer in doing my show prep as my other assigned captain's duties. And I decided that I wanted to watch it live with you and risk the copyright. But, it is for the purposes of reaction and commentary. Where is it? I have lost it somehow. Hang on. I will find it for you. Copy. link. There we go. And it's called Dead City. Now, here's the problem. I have not seen the ending of Walking Dead. I swear to God. I try to watch the show. I can't do it. It's so... This show, I loved it when it first came out. I sometimes liked it and sometimes hated it after it it would have highs and lows. And then I finally got to a point with the show where after the Negan arc, I just couldn't be bothered anymore. So let's see if they're recapturing some of the magic, shall we?
You want to tell me where the hell we're going?
Manhattan.
Jesus Christ.
Now, that's kind of tantalizing. Like, you know, this is a very different location. This is a very new... And obviously, this has kind of got an Escape from New York kind of vibe to it, which is kind of interesting. Fu Manblue says, people like her, meaning Latondra, the DEI, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer who has exited Disney ignobly, unceremoniously. People like her have nested in a company with that much money would never wake up thinking she'd like to explore new horizons. No. Why would you ever leave? You are living off the fat of the land if you are a DEI executive. But we continue with Dead City.
Can you at least tell me what the hell you're doing out here?
A few weeks back, I got raided.
I have no idea what are these two still doing hanging out together. I guess I would have to watch the end of the series.
They took your kid.
Oh, jeez. Who cares?
Have you seen this man? Goes by the name of Negan.
Give me a danger, little stranger.
I mean, if Henry Dean Morgan weren't so good as this character, I wouldn't even be half tempted to watch this. But I love this actor and I love Negan. The question is, do I like good Negan? I don't know.
How do I figure into this, Maggie?
The man who's got
This dang music is killing me. You're killing me, brah.
her show. You know him.
You need me.
The biggest problem with this is that this is an odd couple that is... I just don't know if you could make a case for this as a storyteller. Her husband was beaten to death in the head with a bat by him. And now she's like, it's like buddy cop adventure in New York. And how can you make a show out of that? I'm sorry. That just is too long of a leap for me. And this is what killed the show, quite frankly, is reversals like this, where you'd have an entire season of, I hate this character. I'll do anything to kill this character. I'll do anything to kill him. And then like one season later, I'll hang out with you. I'll hang out with you and we'll fight zombies together. It's like, I'm sorry that there is a redemption arc, but then there's this shit, which is, it's just melodrama. You know, Quentin Tarantino, the more I think about Quentin Tarantino's point about this, that like, you know, this serial storytelling in modern TV shows is just melodrama. It's not actual craftsmanship. It's not actual cinema. It's just melodrama. It's soap opera. I'm beginning to think he has quite a strong point on this.
Is on the island.
We need to go.
You don't know us. We don't know you.
Every scene in The Walking Dead when they meet new people, ever.
You get on the island, but you don't get off. He makes sure of that.
It's the real reason we're here. So you want to get to the cycle? That we could help you with.
We get him to tell me where my son is, and we kill him.
I swear you're gonna feel my hand.
Have to be transformative. This is for the purposes of commentary.
What the hell is that?
Don't know why you with that man I'm looking for. But I will get to you.
You're gonna feel my hand.
The ending is all that matters.
I will give this 1 point for a new and interesting environment that I don't think we've ever seen in Walking Dead before. And they are giving it a style and a flavor that is very new. And that I do like. The New York, the Manhattan as kind of an island apocalypse. Look, if we're talking about ripoffs, it is a bit of a ripoff of Escape from New York, with a dash of Mad Max. But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
We gotta find a way out.
I think you're gonna like it here.
I mean, that's just flat out stolen from Escape from New York right there. I mean, the marketing for this, they just stole. Yeah. June 18th, huh? Now, maybe Captain will watch that for you. I don't know. I don't know if I can muster the interest in Walking Dead anymore. That show, I'm just so tired of zombies. Who cares? How do you escape a zombie? Just walk faster. Just walk faster. It's like, by the way, there's like almost no zombies in that trailer. Did you notice that? And like, what is this? The zombie tower? We've got the zombie tower now. Look, I thought this from the very beginning in the Walking Dead show. They need to evolve the zombies. And this, by the way, is what The Last of Us had going for it. In The Last of Us, the zombies evolved. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. That allows you to tell new stories. And increase the stakes and the tension. Now, this is what the video game does. The TV show didn't do any of that. The TV show had like two interesting zombies, as the captain reported to you on the last stream. The Last of Us was my number 5 in the top 5 worst entertainment TV series / movies of the year. And this is why. Because they actually did have an interesting zombie idea, and they didn't even use it. They did not use it. It is criminal negligence is what that is. Storytelling negligence. So they needed to evolve the zombies to increase the threat. They needed to make them more interesting. I thought they were doing that in the season with the Whispers in Walking Dead. If you've seen any of it, there's like this group that they dress up. They actually wear the skin of zombies, and they sort of like herd with them. And they're humans that do this to survive. And they're the villain. They're the antagonist in one of the late seasons of The Walking Dead. They were pretty interesting. The problem is I was more interested when I thought the zombies were evolving, because the zombies actually look at the main character and they like say something and you're like, oh shit, this is a smart zombie. Now that was scary. And I thought, now that could be cool. Why not just say that the virus is mutated? The virus is mutated, and now they're smart zombies. And those zombies can lead the other zombies. That would have been great. That could have breathed new life into the show. Imagine if they had to actually defeat, like, zombie masterminds. Now, I admit, there's a risk there that could get pretty dopey pretty fast. But it could be done. It could be done. The captain would argue. Fu Man Blue, what do you think? Walking Dead? Let me know if you're still in the chat. Silverback. Walking Dead? No? Yeah. It's very sad. Now, I wanted to talk about, because we have talked about on this stream hubris. We've talked about the hubris of believing oneself able to simply print money by just making more content. We have talked about craftsmanship and earning success, a la Mission Impossible series, a la John Wick. And we have talked about the lazy, pathetic, AI-written crap drivel that Disney is pushing out. And what's interesting is the mentality that leads to the $890 million loss with Disney has a lot in common with this Oceangate Titan disaster, in which a submarine tour taking people to see the Titanic wreckage was destroyed in a catastrophic implosion, killing everyone on board, including the CEO of this company. So if you don't know much about this story, you basically had this guy, Stockton Rush, who created this company in which he would take people in a submarine he designed, his company designed. He would take them in this submersible to go and see the wreckage of the Titanic. And, well, it went very badly. This last week, he was taking a group of 5 down to see the wreckage, and they lost contact, and it turned out the submarine imploded. Everyone was killed. And they discovered the ship. Now, this is probably going to sound like a bit of an aside, but follow me on this. Robert Meyer Burnett made this point about the new Star Trek series, which is that in the portrayal of Starfleet in Star Trek Discovery, Strange New Worlds, etc., you essentially are portraying Starfleet officers as a bunch of laughy, clappy, idiot school children who are running around the ship like chickens with their head cut off, and they're high-fiving each other about yay math and yay science. And it's a big old diversity circle jerk. And that's basically what modern Star Trek has become. These are not serious adults. These are not competent people. We are not clear on what their jobs are, what they're supposed to be doing. They have no sense of decorum. They have no respect for the chain of command. They are idiots. And that is not Star Trek. Star Trek is about people in a dangerous environment, space. They're on the final frontier, where if you're incompetent at your job, if you don't follow the chain of command, you could get killed, and you could get your fellow shipmates killed, because space is dangerous, and exploration is dangerous. It's very dangerous. It is not for the faint of heart, and it is not for idiot school children who think it's a big fun joyride. Now, that's a fictional show. Why should I care? Well, because this is my point. The mindset of the writers that write this garbage, it turns out that this mindset does not just extend to entertainment. It extends to the real world. And it quite literally, in this case, got people killed. This idiotic mindset of like, oh, everybody should feel safe. Everybody should feel included. Everybody should feel inspired and represented. Space and the ocean do not give a shit about how you feel, and they do not give a shit about diversity, equity, or inclusion. The ocean, as one friend of mine put it, will kill you in 1,000 ways. You do not fuck around with the ocean. You do not fuck around with space. And that is why, this mindset and storytelling cannot tell compelling stories, because it is portraying in a very propagandistic way a reality that doesn't exist. It is portraying a fantasy in which the woke worldview is this perfect paradise and it works. In reality, it doesn't work. It gets people killed. So I want to share with you a couple of elements of this story to build my case of why this is such a toxic mindset, why this mind virus is so destructive. And I want to start, honestly, I just kind of got interested in Titanic, just in general. My mind boggles at the depth that it's lying, on the ocean floor. It's like 2 miles down. And I just try to picture that, and my mind, I just can't wrap my head around it. It's such a stunning, when you think about how deep down it is, how long, it makes my skin crawl when I imagine those people on that ship trapped in those compartments.
Talk about an offer that's hard to refuse.
Hang on. I'm getting to that. When you think about those people in that watery tomb sinking to the bottom of the ocean, I'm talking about the actual Titanic passengers now, and they're sinking for miles. Now, of course, hopefully they were by then gone for their own sake. But, who knows? Maybe there were people trapped in air pockets that were still alive when that thing was sinking to the bottom for a few meters. Who knows? And I just think about that, and it just makes my skin crawl. And there's something about anyway. So I was on this kick. I was thinking about it because of this disaster, just because it was on my mind. And I came across this video quite accidentally, and I want you to watch this. This is from CBS Sunday Morning, and this is years ago.
David Pogue was invited recently to join the highly select and very small group of people who've actually made it to the bottom of the Atlantic to view firsthand the eerie remains of the Titanic.
So, a CBS reporter for CBS Sunday Morning went down to see the Titanic. Now, who should he happen to engage to take him down there? But none other than Stockton Rush of this tour company.
For the most part, the only people who've ever seen the Titanic since that night have been scientists. Until now.
It's a very unusual business. It's its own category. It's a new type of travel.
Captain Rush is the CEO of Oceangate, a company that offers dives to the Titanic in a one-of-a-kind carbon fiber submersible for $250,000 per person.
Who are the typical clientele for these missions?
We have clients that are Titanic enthusiasts, which we refer to as Titaniacs. We have people who have mortgaged their home to come and do the trip. And we have people who don't think twice about a trip of this cost. We had one gentleman who had won the lottery.
And this summer, Rush invited...
Dude, this made my blood run cold when I watched this video. You know, and I'll just tell you, because that's the guy. That is the late CEO of Oceangate who died with his passengers on that submarine. This is a report from, I don't know how many years ago this was. This was posted 6 months ago. So this report might have been from as recent as 6 months ago. That is eerie. That is creepy as hell. But here's the thing that kills me about this. You know, there's been a lot of grave dancing on the part of, interestingly enough, the leftist woke crowd. They just love it that a bunch of rich blue bloods met their fate, their ignoble fate in this disaster. And, you know, there's no part of me. There is no part of me from any part of this that is happy that this happened to these people. This is horrific. That, you know, nobody deserved this. Even frankly, the CEO who was incompetent and had no business doing what he was doing. That being said, I don't even think he deserved this. It's a horrible thing. And I really feel bad. You know, you think about someone who won the lottery and just wants to see Titanic. Now, that being said, I can tell you right now, I would definitely want to know who's taking me down there if I were paying for a seat on one of these things. But let us continue.
Us to come along. We departed from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, the easternmost tip of North America, about 400 miles from the Titanic.
That's the last we'll be seeing of land for 8 days.
Aboard a chartered oil rig servicing ship. During our 2-day journey into the North Atlantic, we got to know our fellow adventurers. They included everyone from Indian industry mogul Shrenik Baldota.
Yeah, they call me a wild monk.
The wild monk?
Yeah, because I look like a monk. I'm very calm, but I have these extreme interests.
To bank executive Renata Rojas.
I'm very glad that she was not on the submarine that was destroyed, because, man, my heart goes out to her.
I'm trying to fulfill a dream. I've been wanting to go to Titanic and see it with my own eyes since before they found it.
She's been saving up to see the Titanic for 30 years.
Dreams don't have a price. Some people want a Ferrari. Some people buy a house. I wanted to go to Titanic.
But the star of the show is the Titan, Stockton Rush's custom-built submersible.
It's amazing, too, to me that these woke idiots, you know, they are so happy that someone rich enough to buy a seat, a $200,000 seat on this submarine, that they got what they deserved. But they never bat an eye that Bernie Sanders has a frickin' multi-million-dollar mansion, or that Obama has a multi-million-dollar mansion on the sea in a rare, luxurious part of the world that very few people could ever afford. That doesn't bother him, but someone wants to spend a couple $100,000, not on a car, but on a trip to see a piece of history. Oh, what evil bastards they are. It's like, I see this woman, I don't know what her politics or views on anything is, and I don't care. I see her, and I just think this is a human being who wanted to see something incredible. And it just, I'm watching this, And I'm telling you, it's like someone walked over my grave just listening to her.
5-inch thick carbon fiber capped on each end by a dome of titanium. If all went well, I myself would be spending about 12 hours sealed inside on a dive to the Titanic. Not gonna lie.
All right, I'm not gonna go through all this because there's a lot, but this part, this is telling.
The only one with a toilet. Sort of.
Dude, okay, the toilet on this thing is right where the viewing port is. So you have to sit on the toilet to view the Titanic. Oh.
Help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components. I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Oh my God.
Come on! It seems like this submersible has some elements of MacGyver-y jerry-riggedness. I mean, you're putting construction pipes as ballast.
I don't know if I'd use that description of it, but there's certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyver at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
But when Expedition Manager...
Now, what's interesting about that is he's claiming that his hull is excellent, and we're going to get to that. But his design of this submarine was ludicrous, and it was an absolute disaster. And I'm going to show you exactly why. So he is absolutely full of crap. Whether he knows it or not, he is absolutely full of crap when he says, "Oh, it's rock solid."
Kyle Bingham studied the forecast for our Titanic dive. He concluded that the waves would be too big to launch the sub.
Okay, so I'm not going to go through that part. I want to find... Oh, where is it? There is something here that is... I just want to find the part where he signs the contract. There it is. I found it.
Metal submersible vessel that has not been approved.
Listen to this.
Titanium. If all went well, I myself would be spending about 12 hours sealed inside on a dive to the Titanic. Not gonna lie, I was a little nervous.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Oh my God. Not approved by like he was not approved by any regulatory agency on this. Now, why am I showing you that? I'm getting to that. I am building a point, and it will become clear very soon. I'm gonna see if there's any other highlights. I just want to get a shot of what it's like inside this thing. So they went through a couple of tries. So oftentimes they try to do a dive. The weather's bad. The waves are too choppy. They can't do it. So they cancel the trip, and he basically tells, his passengers, well, you can come back for free to try again. And so this lady, she had tried like 3 times and not been able to see the Titanic, and so she's getting emotional about it.
Over the years, she's been booked on 3 Titanic expeditions. All 3 were canceled.
You just cry a lot and just keep the dream alive, because it's something that I have to do.
Our expedition had to wait out 2 more days of rough seas. Fortunately,
I mean, it's
there's
not
a
something
lot
you
do
have to do. Oh my God, this is what they're doing while they're waiting? What the fuck is
We were
this?
lost for 2.5 hours.
Rush says he'll offer those passengers a free do.
Okay, this is what it's like inside the thing. This is what they were doing in this thing. When I heard this story, I'm picturing like Bill Paxton's character on that submarine in Titanic, the film, and it's like there's all these, technical displays and all this equipment around. And then I see this and I'm like, this is what they were in? There's nothing in here. He's using a video game controller to control this thing. This guy was insane.
Just in front of us. We're in front of the anchor.
Oh my gosh. Here's the bow, guys.
Again,
You guys see it?
Look at that, though, how it just kind of emerges out.
Yeah. That is it.
That is otherworldly.
And there it was. The famous.
All right. So I wanted to show you that before I show you this. Now, James Cameron, a lot of people don't realize this about James Cameron, right? He made the film, he's made Avatar: The Way of Water, he's made Titanic. The guy is a giant he is a giant maritime guy, like your dear Captain Garrett of the Captain's Cast. He is a nautical aficionado. And he's also quite obsessed with nautical history. He's very obsessed with the Titanic. It's partly why he made the movie. This guy, James Cameron, literally helped invent some of the camera technology that makes it possible for us to actually see the Titanic, study it. He had to invent that technology. So the shots you see in the Titanic film, when they're actually exploring the real wreck, he helped create that, make that possible. So he knows what he's talking about when it comes to designing this technology. He's actually trained as an engineer himself. Before he was a filmmaker, actually, I think he was an engineer. So he actually has real engineering understanding. He himself is a deep sea diver. He has completed a dive to the deepest part of the planet. He's gone deeper than any other submariner in history. He went all the way to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. That is 3 times deeper than where the Titanic rests, at the bottom of the Atlantic, which is blood-curdling to think about. So James Cameron, aside from being a brilliant film director, he is an absolute expert on the engineering of this technology. Now, he designed a craft, a submarine that was capable of making these dives that he completed. I want you to see this comparison of his submarine compared to Stockton Rush's submarine, the CEO of this Oceangate company. And I'm pulling it up for you right now. I want you to take a look at this. On the left, okay, on the left here, this is James Cameron's submarine that he designed to go to the bottom of the ocean, to go to the Marianas Trench. Look at this. Look at this. You see all the technology. There's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of buttons in here. There's a lot of wires. There's emergency equipment, fire extinguisher. You can just see there's a lot of technology here. This is Stockton Rush's. I mean, Jesus. I mean, my God. That's his video game controller that he uses to control this submersible. I mean, I can't even believe this. That is what James Cameron designed. This is what the CEO of Oceangate Tours was taking passengers down to the bottom of the ocean on. It's unreal. It's unbelievable to see that difference right there. It's the absolute cavalier attitude about it that stuns me the most. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to use a video game controller. We got off-the-shelf electronics. Like, I can't even believe the mentality. Now, I would like to also submit to you how the man thinks, right? Stockton Rush. And so I'm going to play this for you. So what you're about to see, hat tip, actually, what is the hat tip for this one? Is it New York Post?
I started the business.
New York Post. Okay. So this is audio of an interview with Stockton Rush about his approach to business.
Started the business. One of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology.
Let me play that for you again. This is how he hires people.
Started the business. One of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys.
Other sub operators out there, well, they hire. I love the passive aggressive mealy mouth way that people like this talk. Well, other gentlemen out there with military experience, like, yeah, what fucking idiots, what fucking idiots to hire old 50-year-old white dudes with military experience. What a dumb way to run business. And this is the thing, I heard this, and of course I had the usual reactions of, oh, these idiotic DEI people, this dumb woke mind virus, when will the lesson be learned? I had all the normal reactions, and then it hit me. It just hit me. I mean, just imagine how just flat out evil this statement is. He's basically devaluing the lives and the careers and the experience of these human beings because they are over the age of 50 and because they are white men. And he's basically saying, because of those attributes, they are of less value to an organization. They are of less value to humanity. Their contributions are of less. Yeah, they're just, ugh, ew. 50-year-old white guys, oh, gross. I mean, military, ew. Yeah, that's fine for some. You could speak of no other group this way. You could never speak of any other identity group this way, nor should you. No one should be spoken of this way. The fact that these are the idiots. Why do I rant so much about the woke idiots? Because on the one side of their mouth they tell us ageism, sexism, ableism, and then they're guilty of all of it. They are guilty of all of it, and it killed people in this case. So no, I don't have any patience. I don't have any forgiveness for the woke mind virus. It must be absolutely defeated everywhere it lives in our society until it is gone. Gone. There is to be no bargaining with these people. There is to be no détente. It is wokeness it is on its last legs. It is on its last legs, and we are going to see to it. So that is why we call it out in culture. That's why we call it out in entertainment, and that's why we call it out in this case. Now, I don't know if this guy actually believes any of this bullshit, but think how convenient it is. How convenient it is to explain all of the corners he cut. All he has to say is, and just think how bigoted this is, by the way. All the corners he cut, he's able to explain it away by saying, well, I don't want to hire old white guys. Ew, gross.
I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology.
You know who should build submarines? Now that I think about it, do you know who should be building submarines? Let me just grab this for you. This is who should be put. No submersible company should go without this position at their company. Chief Diversity Officer Latondra Newton. If she had been in charge, she might have saved lives on this submarine because she would have made sure that the right people were hired for the job. So that was one of his mistakes. Let me get to his next comments, though.
Train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot people to do that. We can train people.
Sorry. Here we go.
And we can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller, so anybody can drive the sub.
I mean, the absolute, they say hubris. It is hubris. It is absolute hubris. We're going to have people driving a sub with a game controller. This smacks dangerously of charlatan. This is a charlatan, right? And he was able to get away with it. He's at best, he's incompetent, grossly incompetent. At worst, he's a total charlatan, and he was able to hide what he is by using the woke talking points, basically. And he was able to get away with it. So let's see if I can find for you to give you kind of I think the way to really cap it off here is James Cameron and Bob Ballard, the guy who discovered the wreck of the Titanic, actually, that's not what I need. They had something to say about this. Here we go. Sorry. Delay of game.
The Titanic had been missing at the bottom of the ocean for decades until 1985. That's when Robert Ballard located the wreckage.
So I'm going to skip to the part.
And I know, first off, we're all thinking of their families. Bob, let's start with you. What first crossed your mind when you heard the news today? I understand you both have a deeper understanding of this than most. So what was your first thought today?
Well, when it happened, both Jim and I were at sea on that Sunday, and Jim called me and told me about it, and we both instantly knew that it was gone. Once the data we heard that they were experiencing trouble, they were on their descent, and then when the tracking system went out and everything went out, the only way you could explain it was a catastrophic implosion. And we all have not talked to anybody, because we knew today would be the day when it would be confirmed. Right, Jim?
Oops. No, we kind of let it slip. We knew today would be that is a very odd way of putting it. And others have pointed this out that he kind of just let the cat out of the bag, that him and other experts knew damn well exactly that this thing was gone. The Navy basically detected it. They detected the implosion when it happened. So there was really no doubt about what happened. So why was this allowed to just fester in the media for 4 days, right? And so he points this out, but quite. And then James Cameron sort of smooths it over.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we wanted to come forward. I got, as you did, Bob, approached by many outlets for comment, and it just seemed like speculation, even though we felt we knew what the outcome was going to be, and it was certainly zero surprise to me today. I was even able to visualize the wreck site in my mind over the last few days, and as described, I think it's exactly what we expected. But, I can't imagine what these poor families have been through over the last 4 days, being given false hope here, banging noises, da-da-da, this and that. And, it must have been just, horrible for them. And I feel so bad for them. But I also felt that, as we agreed, Bob, that it would be insensitive to come forward with a dissenting voice to the story that was in motion at the time. I just wish we could have gotten an ROV to the site much, much earlier and gotten eyes on, which took 4 days.
So he kind of points out, I want to get to where he talks about the design.
The ice ahead, and on a moonless night where they couldn't see anything, they just steamed. The captain was warned, and he took
He's talking about the Titanic captain here.
A decision to go full speed into a known ice field that he had Marconigram, telegrams in his pocket, warning about the ice ahead, and on a moonless night where they couldn't see anything, they just steamed full speed ahead. And I kind of feel that that's what happened here. I feel that this was such a preventable tragedy. We've never had a tragedy like this in the entire history of deep submergence, deep diving. You have these, highly certified systems like Alvin at Woods Hole, which Bob is very familiar with. Even the Russian submersibles that I dove with, every 5 years they had to be reclassified.
The last point on this.
Recertified, and so on. And you have all these legitimate deep diving operations around the world, and even most of the tourist operations around the world use certification from, let's say, ABS, the American Bureau of Shipping. And this particular outfit didn't do that. I had deep concerns about the technology that they were using, composite fiber wound filament hull, which I don't believe has any place in deep submergence. And I know a thing or two about the engineering that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to get to. So he basically points out the guy, no certifications. He was using a ridiculous technology, which was the carbon filament hull, which Cameron's like, that has no business being in deep submersibles. video game controller. It was, and yeah, and you know what he needed? He needed a DEI officer. So Fu Man Blue says, "Is this like a top fuel interest?" Well, yeah, okay, I went out on kind of a limb here, so I'm sorry. Look, I appreciate your indulgence. I don't know. This is the way I see this as related to. It's the culture, right? It is when we're talking about entertainment, we are talking about this idea of craftsmanship and versus hubris. The idea that you can just phone it in and expect results, and that you are owed results. And the reality is the truth will lie in wait for all time. It doesn't care. It doesn't care whether you have the right diversity boxes ticked. And so in this case, this is a real world example of really what we're so up in arms about, which is we need to bring back meritocracy. We need to bring it back to entertainment. We need to bring it back to storytelling. And it definitely needs to be in maritime deep sea exploration. And so anyway, I wanted to address that. And of course, James Cameron, director of some pretty incredible films. And, it shows. It shows in the characters he portrays in, Avatar 2, I think rightly gets a lot of criticism as a film. But, one of the things I like about Avatar 1 and 2 is that the characters in it, whether they're military, whether they're the Na'vi, whether they're the civilian explorers, there's like a real world technical side to everything. The way that they speak, the way they do things, it's clear that there's actual competence in play, both with the military, the civilian explorers, the Na'vi. There is this sense that like people know their roles, and if they're not good at their jobs, they're going to fail or they're going to get killed. That's how he tells stories, and that is why his stories resonate more. And I was actually even thinking about Avatar as well. This is the question a lot of people ask all the time. Why isn't Avatar more culturally relevant? And I actually was watching Way of Water again, and it hit me. I actually believe I have an answer to this. I think I've figured out what my theory is on why, because essentially Avatar, Way of Water made $2 billion. It made $2 billion, but it's like, it makes $2 billion and then nobody talks about it. Like, the merchandise isn't flying off the shelves. People aren't dressing up like Na'vi on Halloween. Like, it doesn't have, people aren't running around with any of the props, toys made from the world of Avatar. Why is that? Like, why doesn't it have the kind of enduring legacy of like a Star Wars or a Harry Potter? Why not, right? It does have the park, but other than that, you never hear about it. Well, I submit to you, Avatar is a story about a world that has no future. Actually, more accurately, Avatar is a story about two worlds that have no future. Earth and Pandora. Earth has no future because we humans are awful, we're evil, we're the worst thing in the galaxy, and we've killed it. We've killed Earth and we're dying. And our only hope is Pandora. Pandora has no future because of us, because the Na'vi can never defeat humanity. They can never defeat the human race. Humans will ultimately prevail, is the feeling I get from both films. And really, the story of Pandora is a story of tragedy. It is a story of, a lost cause. That is probably the best way to put it. It's a story of a doomed world and a lost cause. Humanity is a lost cause. Pandora is a lost cause. The Na'vi and their forests and their oceans and their whales are a lost cause. There's no saving them. Even the story of Way of Water is about Jake Sully running. He's running away because he knows there's no way to defeat the humans, even with his help. Even him being a trained human, originally a trained human Marine, he knows he can't defeat them. So there's not even one ray of hope in the story, in the world. So really, Avatar is a story about Jake Sully and his family, and that's all very interesting. It's a very powerful and dramatic kind of tale because it's about a struggle against this impending doom, and that does have a certain draw to it. But who wants to live in that world? Who wants to fantasize about being a character in that world because it's dismal, it's bleak. And more than that, humanity is absolutely, utterly irredeemable in this story. Even Jake Sully, who has switched sides and joined the Na'vi, is not really doing anything to redeem humanity in the story. He mostly is portrayed as just being Na'vi now, and he is a repudiation of humanity. So, you would think his character would be about bridging the gulf between the two worlds, and a Star Trek kind of a tale would be about that. Jake Sully has no interest in that. He has no interest in helping the Na'vi and humans understand each other. He has actually very little interest in ultimately defeating humanity because he doesn't believe it's possible. So he's neither their ultimate rebel leader, nor is he the diplomat who can one day heal the gulf between the two worlds. And nor would it matter if he did, because humans are portrayed as being mustache-twirling villains, like through and through. The best of them are absolute odious pigs. So this is why I think Avatar has no cultural footprint, because it's not a story about heroes and villains. It's not a story about overcoming great odds. It's really just a story about the tragedy of what is going to happen to any indigenous people ever. And it's not going to be a pretty ending. And that's the feeling I get from Avatar. That's the feeling every audience gets from Avatar. And it's entertaining, but do I want to go back there all the time? Not really. Not really. I frankly don't. I enjoy these movies. I like them a lot. I don't actually want to go back. It's like, do you want to rewatch Schindler's List? It's not, the rewatch value is not great on that one. Why? It's dismal. That's why. So it's not a particularly good science fiction story when you really think about it. I have defended it on those grounds before, and the more I think about it, science fiction is about thought and moral tales. Avatar's not really a moral tale. I'm a great fan of the author of the book Save the Cat, which is about how to basically write the ultimate screenplay. And if you want to be a writer, get this book. You need this book. And the name of the author is escaping me for some reason. I don't know why his name always escapes me. I can remember Stephen Pressfield, who wrote War of Art, and I think that's why, because whenever I think of Save the Cat, I also think of him. Come on now. Google is failing me. Save the Cat author. Blake Snyder. That's it. Blake Snyder wrote Save the Cat. Okay, anyway. So in the Blake Snyder way of looking at stories, there are 12 different genres. And let me know if this is boring you, but I'll just tell you. So his genres are not fantasy, science fiction, thriller, mystery. He actually breaks them down differently. What are the 12 genres? I can remember most of them. Oh, there's 10. 10 of them. Okay, cool. All right, so here are the 10 genres. So instead of horror, he has monster in the house. Now, these are named for very specific reasons, because each of these genres is a Swiss watch of storytelling, and every component has to be there for this type of a tale to work. So there's monster in the house. Examples would be Alien, Insidious, Poltergeist, whatever. Golden Fleece, right? Now, Star Wars is a Golden Fleece story, right? Any story that is like Lord of the Rings is a Golden Fleece story. So Golden Fleece, like that comes from Jason and the Argonauts. The characters are on a quest to achieve something. Out of the Bottle, which is kind of like Aladdin is the obvious example. It's sort of a story about some kind of magic or chaotic element that has been unleashed upon the world, right? Dude with a Problem, which is one of my favorites. Dude with a Problem is basically any story about a kind of everyman who gets thrust into an adventure. Examples would include Die Hard. Die Hard is a dude with a problem story. Rites of Passage, which are, this would kind of fit dramas, honestly, would be, Forrest Gump. Actually, Forrest Gump is fool triumphant, but also could work as a rites of passage story. Buddy love. Now, this is not a love story necessarily. It can be. Buddy love is any buddy cop drama or any buddy cop story, but also just any story about a pair of characters that are kind of on an adventure together, etc. Why done it? That's basically his mystery genre. And his point there is nobody cares about who done it in a mystery story. What they actually care about is why. Why did the bad guy do it? So why done it? The fool triumphant, Forrest Gump would be an example. And then superhero story, which does not have to be a literal superhero. Gladiator would be a superhero story. So it's basically about a character who is already a powerful character, who is already a larger than life character. And those stories have to work differently than a dude with a problem or, a golden fleece story. So finally, that brings me to institutionalized. Now, Star Wars is a golden fleece story. Harry Potter, I would say, is maybe a golden fleece. I wouldn't say it's necessary. It's more of a rights. What would Harry Potter be? I would say Harry Potter, well, it depends on which part of the series, because each tale is a little bit different. But I would say the first Harry Potter story is really probably a golden fleece story. Or a rites of passage story, because he's learning to be a wizard, right? And then it ultimately becomes a superhero story, because Harry Potter is the superhero of the story. Now, if Avatar were to be something on the cultural level of a Star Wars, it would need to have that element of a golden fleece story. The Matrix. The Matrix is, in part, it's a dude with a problem story. Neo sort of stumbles into learning that he's in a fictional world. He's not in a real world. He's in a simulation. And of course, really, I would say there's other elements as well, such as it is a out of the bottle. Well, anyway, I'm in the weeds here. My point is, there are several genres that work well for a story that's going to inspire people to dress up like the characters, want to live in that world, want to be part of it. Lord of the Rings, these are the types of tales. Lord of the Rings is a classic golden fleece story. Avatar is an institutionalized story. An institutionalized story is about an individual against the collective, often with cataclysmic and catastrophic results. Every institutionalized story contains a group, a family, an organization, or a business that is unique. A choice expressed in an individual's ongoing conflict with the system, and one of three sacrifices must be made. They must join the system, burn it down, or destroy it. Institutionalized stories may contain a Brando, one who exists solely to reveal the institution's flaws, one who ultimately becomes the hero, or a company man, an automaton entrenched within the system. So like stories like MASH, The Hurt Locker, Pulp Fiction, Wall Street, Animal House, 9 to 5, these are like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. These are institutionalized stories. Are you seeing a pattern? An institutionalized story is kind of dismal. The conclusion of the story is somewhat preordained. Avatar is an institutionalized story. It is about Jake Sully, who is part of a system. The system is rotten, evil humanity. Rotten, evil colonizing humanity and the dying Earth. That is the system he is a part of. He makes the choice to go against it and burn it down, right? And then becomes a Na'vi himself. Pandora is the victim of the institution. Pandora is being slowly eaten away and destroyed by this institution, and there's really no hope for it. So there you have it. That is the captain's judgment of why is Avatar not creating a cultural influence, because institutionalized stories are not the stuff of Star Wars. They are not the stuff of Harry Potter. The Matrix is closer to an institutionalized story because he's plugged into the Matrix. But, the Matrix, once you've seen it, like, you don't want to live in the Matrix world. Nobody wants to live in that world. So you do kind of like, okay, I do like the idea of being able to do bullet time, but like it's not like Star Wars where it's a kid's story and they want to, be Luke Skywalker when they grow up. So there you have it. So to bring it back, I do believe we've covered everything. We've covered everything tonight, my dear sailors and star nuts. I will say before we go, I have been thinking more about The Flash. That movie is a shit show. Let me just tell you. The more I think about it, the more I think about how that movie was only somewhat good by comparison. The more I think about Michael Keaton's Batman in it, even though I enjoyed the action scenes, it's like, yet once again, he's a sad old man who doesn't want to help save the world and isn't even really talked into it. Mahler had such a good point on that when I watched Friday Night Tights. He's like, oh, the world's going to die. I don't care. And then later he's like, you know what? Okay, I'll help you. It's like, that's no motivation. Anyway. Well, thank you for joining me on this wonderful Sunday night. I'm going to make it an early one tonight because the captain has things to do. And I know that Fu Man Blue, it looked like perhaps you were mentioning visiting the campaign on galaxyborn.com. Well, thank you, sir. I do appreciate any support is very much appreciated. I am working on it. There will be more on that soon. I'm working on my strategy for that. So in any case, I am Captain Garrett. This is the Captain's Cast. Please do like and subscribe. Share the channel with your friends. And let me know in the comments, what, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are the things you liked you'd like to see more of or things you don't like? The captain is happy to hear your complaints and the captain salutes you. And so, thank you for joining me on this ship of entertainment culture, this vessel and its continuing mission to explore strange, new, nerdy worlds. And that is the Captain's Cast, and I will see you out there.